In this video, I'm going to give you 10 statements you can practice with a partner to get more confident talking about pricing and money with your clients. So let's dive in. Hi, I'm Laney. I'm a wedding invitation designer, and I love teaching creative entrepreneurs how to make more money. A big way to do that is to get more confident talking about pricing. I have a whole course called Power in Pricing that's over 4 hours of information on pricing wedding invitations. If that's your field, I hope you'll check it out. I'll link in the description of this video. If you've ever been in a negotiation, you probably know that if you're uncomfortable talking about the price of things or talking about money in general, you're going to end up on the worst side of it. So as a business owner, it's important to come across as professional, and it's also important to be really confident talking about money with your clients. You are guiding them through this process, and that includes all the payment information as well. My general tips for this are to talk about money often, talk about it early in the process, don't over-explain, talk about it very simply with a statement at the end, not a question, and fourth, to talk about it confidently. And how do you infuse confidence into talking about money? The way to do that is just to practice. So I'm going to give you 10 statements today that you can practice with your spouse, your friend, your mom, whoever it is, to get more comfortable talking about money with your clients. Now, I'm going to use kind of generic statements, but feel free to adapt them to whatever works for your business, your pricing, because your pricing might be completely different than the examples that I'm using here. Statement 1, this will cost $5,000. That's it. Simple, telling someone what something's going to cost. Another way to phrase this is my average client spends $5,000 for a painting of this size for this many invitations, whatever works for your business. This is probably the most important one, so I would practice it a lot and just get really comfortable with it. Don't have a question at the end, make it a statement. Don't over explain, don't add too many details, just my average client spends this for this. This is going to cost this. Period. Number 2, I require a 50% retainer to begin design work, and then the additional 50% with any changes needs to be paid before shipment of the product to you. This is just explaining your payment processing. If you have 4 payments, adapt it to that. If you have 3, adapt it to that. If you take all payments at once, adapt it to that. I don't advise sending out product to a client before they've paid you. So that's why they have to pay the final balance before I'm going to ship it to them. Put this statement somewhere early when you're talking about your process. So hey, you're gonna send me your information for your invitations. I'm gonna send you proofs, blah, blah, blah. My pricing policy is this, blah, blah, blah. Here's how everything else works. Just kind of include it in there as if it's just the same thing as going over your questionnaires or proofing process, whatever process you have for working on your art. Number 3, it's gonna get hard here. That is something that we will cover after the retainer is paid. This one's hard, but you have to put limits on the work that you're willing to do before the retainer is paid. And it's okay to say, it's not my policy to do that until I have the retainer paid. It's not my policy to do that until you make a purchase. We are gonna cover that in step 2 after you make a purchase. Number 4 is how they can pay you. I prefer to be paid by credit card, but if you'd like to pay by check, we can do that. I'll need it in hand and cash before I can fully get you on the calendar or begin design work. It's okay to set boundaries with how someone is paying you because you have to set your policies, and there's a reason that you have those policies. If someone is going to pay by check, then that's going to delay their process a little bit because it delays you getting your money. Number 5 is an interesting one. I will need to know a budget you're comfortable with before I can provide you an accurate quote. Especially in the wedding industry, people feel really uncomfortable giving budgets. Sometimes they think that if they say their budget is $3,000, we're going to come in at $29.99, whereas we wouldn't otherwise have charged that much. If someone doesn't trust you to have an accurate quote, no matter what the budget they say is, then you probably don't want to work with them anyway. Why don't they trust you? Why do they think you're trying to scam them? Is that something that you did to make them think you were scammy? Is that something they did? Or something about their past where they just think people are trying to scam them? If so, you probably don't want to work with them anyway. So if someone's not willing to give you a budget, what I always say is, okay, I can provide everything you wanted, but if you're not going to give me a budget, I can't make this very accurate, and I can't make recommendations of how to maximize the budget that you're comfortable with. So sometimes I'll send a proposal. It doesn't take me very long to make proposals, so sometimes I will send them before knowing exactly what the budget is, but then I'll say, hey, if this feels a little high, I'm getting that impression, let me know what you're comfortable with and I can make some suggestions as to how to maximize that. Okay, number 6 is that's gonna be a $300 upgrade. let me know if you'd like to add it on. This is just when someone tries to change the scope. In my proposals, it also says I can change the price for literally any reason if design, colors, scope, sizes, quantities, etc. change. So you want to have that kind of in your proposal or in your contract so that you have the ability to change the price, but sometimes they don't understand that changing the color from white to pink of the paper is going to change everything, because now you have to use a totally different vendor, a different printer. It's going to cost more, you have more shipping, etc. So they don't understand that, but you don't have to explain that to them. Just say, this is going to be a $300 upgrade. Similarly, about pricing, it's really tempting to always give that price immediately, but if you're on the phone with them and you don't know the exact price it's going to be, don't feel pressure to do that. You can say, hey, that's going to be an upgrade charge. Let me talk to my vendor and I'll get a quote to you tomorrow. It's not your job to make those costs go down. If they want to add something that's $300, tell them it's $300 and leave it in their court for them to add that or choose not to. Number 7 is quoting on an hourly basis. So this will take an estimated 10 hours for this project based on the specs you've given me. My hourly rate is $150 an hour. You can always, of course, add that up for them, or when you send them the proposal, they'll see that total on there, but it's important to be comfortable with charging that. Number 7 is if you charge anything on an hourly rate, just saying, hey, based on the specs you told me, this project's going to take an estimated 10 hours and my hourly rate is $150. Again, you don't have to explain why your rate is the way it is, but if you are charging on an hourly basis, you can use that as a way to say, hey, this is going to take this much time. I charge this. That's where I got that final number on your proposal. Okay, 8 and 9 are 2 questions that you should get really comfortable asking. First of all, it's just, how would you like to pay? You can combine this with that statement about your payment policies and what payment methods you accept, but it's important to get comfortable just saying, hey, we're going to move forward. How would you like to pay? Who can I send that invoice to is another good one. Number 9 is, do you think you could take care of the invoice today? This is when we're getting to a timeline. I work in the wedding industry, so sometimes people haven't paid and their wedding is next week and I need them to pay in order to ship their products. So I'm a little bit holding their products hostage, but you get to a point of, hey, we need to take care of this. We need to cross this project off our list. I need to get this out to you. Do you think you could take care of the invoice today? Is a great way to open up that conversation, remind them that that's the thing that you're waiting on without being too pushy. And then number 10, if we do get to that point and we are getting pushy, your project is ready to ship. I'm going to get that in the mail for you as soon as the invoice is paid. That's just a reminder to them that, hey, my policy is we're not shipping this until you pay the invoice, because I think some people just assume that you will. In general, it's not ill will, it's more I'm planning a whole wedding and I just forgot to take care of this invoice more than anything else. But even if it is something negative and they're trying to get away without paying you, which has happened in the past, then you are reminding them, I have all your products and you're not getting them until you do pay me. Some designers require payment before they order any products, so they require that final balance to be paid. I don't, because generally I do have something in exchange that they're not going to get if they don't pay me, so they do typically always pay me. However, if you do end up shipping your products without payment, you don't have a ton of recourse unless you are willing to take them to small claims court, collections, etc. So it's just going to make your life a lot easier if you hold fast to those policies. And towards the end here, that's where it gets really extra important that you're comfortable with your policies and that you've talked about them confidently up until this point. If this is the first time the client is hearing about this policy, then they're going to be surprised and they're not going to necessarily understand why they're hearing about this right now. If they've heard about this in the past, hey, you have to pay it before I send anything. Or if there's late fees, that's another one you can add to this list, bonus 11. My late fees are X per day. If you have covered these policies in previous conversations, they're going to understand, oh, okay, this person is not screwing around. They are serious about their money policies and I have to pay them or I'm not going to get my products. All right, so test out these 10 bonus 11 statements, practice them in the mirror, practice them with your partners, and practice them in every consultation that you have. Go over those policies from the beginning. You're going to show your clients that you value your time correctly, that you've been here before, this is not the first person paying you this money, that you believe in the value of your products, and that you're really comfortable with money. And if they're not, then you're probably going to end up getting the better deal in the long run, because they're going to be awkward about it and you're not. You're always going to come across as more professional if you're talking about money upfront and confidently. To practice these statements, let me know which ones are your favorites. And if you want to learn more about pricing invitations specifically, I hope you'll check out our course, Power in Pricing, which is over 4 hours all about pricing wedding invitations to make more money in your business. I'll link that in the description of this video. Thanks, everyone.